Good afternoon, folks. This is a take two on this video because in the last one, which I've just deleted, I was talking a complete load of tosh. So I've decided to delete the video that I just posted and explain things correctly rather than be responsible for some urban myth that will perpetuate forever on the internet. So basically, the project that I'm going to outline here, which is very, very simple, is a kind of sub-project which I looked at last night. Basically, what I want to do is remove the ignition coils from the bike, the HT leads, the HT caps and the spark plugs, and I want to put on Dynatech coils with silicon HT leads with carbon fibre cores, decent HT caps, NGK, and remove the resistor from the HT caps because iridium plugs, which I also plan to fit, have a resistor in them, and it's pointless generating 38,000 volts with Dynatech coils and then finding that you're effectively choking it up at the HT cap stage and the iridium spark plug stage. So in order to evaluate that project, I thought what I'll do is take the tank off, take everything off, take the coils out, see what space is available. I did this project on a Yamaha XJR 1300 and fitted two dual output coils on that, and I inadvertently got a zap from one of the coils straight through my arm. I've never done anything like it off an ignition coil. How it didn't send me into cardiac arrest, I still marvel at that. They produce huge voltage, excellent coils, and I suspect that the coils on the Royal Enfield are, Royal Enfield. If you look at that coil there, you'll see the originally pink little shrouds that go over the HT leads as they screw into the coil. They're already pretty manky and oxidized, and so I suspect the coils are no better than maybe the relays that are under the left side panel. So I'd like to fit Dynatech coils. So in order to do that, I have to take that coil assembly off, and it then there's the space underneath the frame. There's only a couple of connectors to the headers. The header connector, sensor connectors, attached to two little metal tongs on the ignition coil carrier, and it's just a case of popping them off, undoing them. I took the horns off to get better access, and as you can see from that picture, there is a stonking great big pipe sticking out of the air injection system, and it goes really high. Quite why it goes that high, I don't know, because it doesn't need to go that high, and it pushes against the ignition coils and gets in the way. And then it suddenly occurred to me, air injection delete kit. So air is being sucked in from the airbox, allowed past an electrically controlled valve, namely a solenoid, very simple, like the purge valve, and it's injecting air into the exhaust, in the cylinder head. It struck me, there's no clamps on any of that pipe, it's all pretty ropey looking, and I think it's probably just a tick box exercise to say, yes, the bike's got an evap cartridge, tick. Yes, the bike's got an air injection kit to lower emissions kit, tick on that one. I know that you can buy for about 32 quid, you can buy an air delete kit, which is basically two cast alloy plates, two gaskets, and what I suspect is probably a 4 ohm resistor and a fancy plug, and a bung to block up the airbox. So, like the same with removing the evap cartridge, you could leave the purge valve attached and it'll fool the ECU into thinking all is well. So it struck me last night, I thought, well, let's just get rid of all that. Let's get rid of the air injection. But I'd like to do it for £0. And it's not everybody wants to do that, I know. Some people love spending money on their bikes and cosset them like little babies. However, some people may be slightly less wealthy and think, I don't want to pay 32 quid. So here's what I did. I took the entire pipe off the air injection system. So you pull it off a T-piece at the front, and remove it at the airbox end with the seat off the bike, obviously. You remove it from a black plastic stub that's attached to what is a very, very simple solenoid valve, exactly like the purge valve. That's all it is. I powered it up with 2 terminals from a car battery, and all it does is go click, 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 exactly like the purge valve. You know, so I don't think it's responding to sensors. I don't think it's evaluating anything particularly. It's just opening and closing and being told to do that by the ECU. Now maybe the ECU is analysing gas from the 2 sensors in the headers and saying, you know, open, O valve, open sesame and start injecting air. I doubt it. I think it probably comes on the minute you turn the key. That's what I think. However, there it is. There's the pipe at the front, the T-piece. Now that rotates because it's got rubber O-rings. You can see the blocky looking air injection things, which if you get the kit, then you just take them off and throw them in the nearest dustbin. You know, yeah, you could do that. 32 quid, yeah. Seems a lot to me. Well, I don't know if it is a lot, 32 quid for 2 little plates, but you know, it's exactly the same principle when you block an EGR valve on a car. You just have a metal plate to screw it on. The ones that I've seen advertised for sale are fancy cast alloy. They look pretty nice. However, if you want to do it on the cheap and using the existing bits, just do it this way. So here we are. I got the pipe off. I'll show you a picture of it later on. And I cut off 4 centimetres of it, as you can see from this next photograph. So there it is, a bit blurred. Sorry about that. I'm not exactly a professional YouTuber, am I? I don't have all the fancy gear. I'm using an iPad. But there you go. I digress. So, cut off two pieces of that actually. So you've got one for each end, one for the T-piece end at the front of the bike and one at the air filter end, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now I use a product called CT1 for everything apart from cleaning my teeth. It is amazing. CT1, as you can see, is 12 quid a tube from my local builder's merchant, and it comes in a variety of colours. Black, I just happen to have some clear, black, grey, silver, brown, grey, light grey, dark grey, and it sets to about the hardness of a car tyre. It is amazing stuff. Seals leaks, it's an adhesive, fantastic. And I had happened to have a tube with some clear in it, so that's what I used. And it takes about 24 hours to really set, and far better than silicone, you know, like bathroom silicone. But you could use that. So what I did was I put that little bit of pipe I've cut off, and as you can see, I squirted into it the CT1, and there it is sitting facing upwards at the front of the bike. Now, by the time you get your tank back on and all your coils in and gubbins all over the place, you don't see that. So, you know, if you want to do an inexpensive, i.e. zero cost, remote air delete, this is how to do it. I appreciate it's not everybody's cup of tea. They might think it's a bit Heath Robinson, but it's still 32 quid, you know. So there it is pointing up, and then it spins round, and in this next photo, once the CT1 had started going off, I just pointed it downwards. So to my eye, that doesn't look any worse than the system that was on to start with. The actual space now above the rocker cover, having got the coils out, there's a lot more room now for my project to get the dyno coils in there. I did it on the XJR 1300, and I shall post a proper project thing from end to end, how to take the tank off and all that. I know people have covered it, but I'm going to show you how I did it. Okay. This next picture shows the solenoid valve at the airbox end. Now, as you can see, it's only got 2 wires. That thing that looks like that sort of grills in it looks like the top of a Dalek, or maybe a bit Darth Vader-ish. That is the actual valve that's operated by the 2 wires there, and it's just click, click, click. Now, obviously, if you buy the air delete kit at 32 quid, then you get what I think is a 4 ohm resistor on a fancy plug that goes into that blue plug. And all it does is fool the ECU into thinking that there is indeed a solenoid valve there behaving itself. So, you know, if you could in fact just join those two wires together, and I think it is a 4 ohm resistor. I'll check it. I'm going to check the actual resistance on the coil of that valve there, but I think it's probably 3 or 4 ohms. And then all you do is just put a resistor in, you know, total cost 15p. Or you can just leave it in place, leave it sitting there, plugged in, and you would cut the pipe, as you can see the stub on the left hand side of Darth Vader's head there. You cut that stub and fill that with CT1. That's straight into the airbox. I mean, this next photo shows the pipe, the entire pipe, which, as I say, had got this terrible kink in it at the top for no apparent reason. Well, because it was 5 or 6 centimetres too long. So there it is, a great big pipe, which would be taking air from the airbox via the solenoid into the exhaust ports of the bike, so it's sucking a bit of fresh air in. You know, on a 650cc bike, on a planet the size of the Earth, I don't think the emissions are going to make the reduction in emissions are making any difference whatsoever. I read somewhere that a Boeing 747, when it takes off, for one takeoff, emits the annual pollution caused by 40,000 cars. So I don't think removing this air delete kit is really going to mean that the icebergs start melting and polar bears starving to death. I don't think it makes any difference. It's just exactly the same as the purge valve and the evap system. It's a tick box exercise. It's a compliance thing. You know, you tick your box, don't you? Yes, I've got air injection, tick. Yes, I've got evap, tick. Yeah, I've got this, got that. You know, it keeps regulators happy, especially in lunatic places like California, where you can't even wear perfume in the street because or aftershave apparently, because it pollutes everywhere. So enough of that, enough of my little soapbox. So there it is. I'm going to leave the valve on. I'm going to leave it electrically connected. I've bunged up either end. And I shall be hopefully receiving the Dynatech coils, silicon leads with carbon fibre core, proper HT caps instead of the ones that are on the bike, which are plastic. I mean, NGK are like Bakelite, aren't they? But I noticed I'm going to do an autopsy on the Royal Enfield ones when I get the new HT caps. I'm going to cut one in half. I want to see what's in it. So that project will be on the way. Hopefully I can get the Dynatech coils to fit. If I can't, then you know, the single output coils, by the way, because the Enfield is quite clever. Instead of having a wasted spark like in the old days where you had both coils firing and you'd have a spark on the exhaust cycle of a bike as well as the induction compression. So this one fires left, right, left, right, left, right. When you look at the circuit diagram, it's single output coils. You can't replace them with a dual output single coil, which is quite sophisticated, because some people do claim that the wasted spark used to cause vibration. I think it was because the wasted spark on the exhaust stroke theoretically would burn any unburned fuel in there and give an extra little bang, or you know, a thump, and cause vibration. Anyway, our wonderful machines don't do that, so you need 2 single coils. I'm going to post a proper project on it. I'll do how to remove the tank, although it's all over the internet and people who are a lot flashier and more professional than I on their videos have no doubt outlined it, but my little channel is just for me saying how I did it. And I shall post that, how to get the tank off, you know, what block connectors to undo and so on, how to fit Dynatech coils, which are about 180 quid a pair, but you know, it's something I fancy doing just for the hell of it. Iridium plugs and all that kind of thing. Might make a difference, might not. However, I shall post honestly. It might just make me feel happier, or I might say, oh, guess what, the bike's had a little bit more zap to it, or who knows. But I'll be doing that soon. So in the meantime, if you're out on your bikes today, with or without the air delete kit on, please do take care and watch out. I think every day becomes more perilous in my experience. Even going to the post office My bike is off the road at the moment because I'm getting a new pull cable for the throttle made by Venhill, which I'll also post a video on. So I'm going to send that off to Venhill today and hopefully get a couple of pull cables made. I've no intention ever of putting a push cable back on, and I'll post a video about why, and I'll show what the difference between a Venhill cable and the original Royal Enfield ones, which are awful. So take care on your bike, with or without Enfield push cables, with or without delete kits. Take care, and I will post again soon. Bye for now.